Hello, good afternoon. My name is Samantha Dark. Have you ever heard of someone being thrown to the deep end of a pool to learn to swim? When this happens, you only have two options, sink or swim. While this may seem like a dramatic example, the message is clear. If you want to live, you learn how to swim. As Aesop states in his fable, The Crow and the Pitcher, necessity truly is the mother of invention. When I was 11 years old, I taught myself to cook for a family of 5, not because I wanted to, but because I needed to. The creativity that is born out of an uncomfortable situation is a blessing in disguise, which we can use to help us grow into resilient and adaptable adults. Today, we'll talk about 2 instances where invention was born from necessity. First, we'll talk about Aesop's fable, The Crow and the Pitcher, that explains why invention is vital when necessity is present. Then, I get to tell you my own story about how I relate to this crow and his beloved pitcher. Let's dive into Aesop's fable. Aesop's fable, The Crow and the Pitcher, is an interesting tale that discusses the relationship between need and creation. The website Aesop's Fables retells the story and was retrieved on June 1st, 2026. This tale tells of a crow who kept his life by inventing a solution to his ever-present problem of having no access to water. Aesop introduces his fable with a seemingly parched crow in search of water. The crow finds hope in the form of a pitcher, only to be disappointed when he couldn't reach the water at the bottom. The crow strived with all its might to try to get to the water and to quench his thirst, but ultimately he failed. In a last attempt, he gathered as many stones as he could and dropped them into the pitcher. This action raised the water, allowing the crow to drink, thus saving his life. To summarize, the moral of the fable, The Crow and the Pitcher, is one where necessity is the mother of invention. The crow had to find a solution to his problem, or else he would have died. The pitcher was the crow's opportunity to live if he could reach his necessity, water, by way of his solution, dropping the stones. Now, after that life or death example, let me tell you a story that may resonate a bit differently. When I was 11 years old, I decided to solve the only problem that was within my control. My mother's had depression for as long as I can remember, but when I was younger, it was a lot worse. She had so much guilt that she didn't have the mental or physical capacity to cook us home-cooked meals. So, with help of Food Network and minimal culinary knowledge, I started teaching myself to cook. The goal was to make my mom's life easier. So I spent hours learning to cook every day. While I never poisoned anyone or made anyone have to go to the hospital, a few of my meals were a bit questionable. I made many recipes and even made up a lot of my own, and eventually they were actually edible. My mom needed someone to step up, and that was the one thing I knew I could do. I failed a lot, but I also learned from that failure. While it was certainly a challenging experience, it's one I'll value forever because it taught me to create under the pressure of immense need. My situation wasn't as life-threatening as the crow's, but it molded me into who I am today. The Crow and the Pitcher and my own personal experience are perfectly reflective of the value created through invention in the midst of necessity. Just as the crow had to drop pebbles into the water so he could drink, I learned to cook because my mother couldn't. The beauty of creating when it can be uncomfortable helps you grow in ways you wouldn't expect. Sometimes it can be necessary to fail when success is vital because it teaches you to strive through hardships. The crow could have given up, dooming himself to certain death, but instead, he recognized his need, failed abundantly, and finally found a way. The crow left room for the opportunity to fail, thus giving life to his most important invention. Thank you. Any questions?